version 2. My entire headphones fell off. Oh, better fix that. DLSS 5. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Have you ever enjoyed the finalized, crisp, clean polish of an animated movie? The way it's textured, the way it's lit, 2D or 3D, take your pick. Well, boy, don't we potentially have some terrible AI news for you. As it could very well be that AI in post-production in animated movies is just around the corner. How unfortunate. So a little bit ago, the computer graphics turned AI titan Nvidia shocked the world with the release of DLSS 5. It's a new technology that turns computer-generated footage from this into this. You've probably seen the memes about it. And while Nvidia's announcement of this technology was focused on DLSS 5 in gaming, we do also need to discuss the unfortunate impact that this technology will likely have on animation as well. We're not quite at the point where major animation studios are able to generate entire movies using AI, as much as they may like to. The technology simply isn't there yet to compare to the works of human artists. And the results of generating frames entirely by AI are ugly to say the least. Just look at the stuff we have shuffled in the background of this video. Pretty uncanny, right? But technologies like DLSS 5 are a little bit different from generating entire frames. According to Nvidia, DLSS 5 takes a game's color and motion vectors for each frame as input, and uses an AI model to infuse the scene with photoreal lighting and materials that are anchored to source 3D content and consistent from frame to frame. So basically, in real time, it just takes the texturing and lighting ends of things at the very tail end of the animation pipeline and pastes over it with an AI slop filter in order to become more photoreal. And unfortunately, you'd have to be so incredibly optimistic to think that gaming is the only place that AI rendering will be applied. While sure, 3D animation is an entirely different beast from video games, there are still quite a good few similarities. 3D models in 3D space filtered with lighting and other post-production effects. Plus, a lot of modern-day CGI unfortunately uses Unreal Engine quality stuff, which is not the same quality they were using back in the early 2010s when CGI looked good. So if anything, there's a lot more overlap with modern tech as they've cut corners anyway. The difference really comes down to how they are framed and how they are animated and rendered. Games have to be dynamic, responding to player input, while animation is static. 3D games have to move characters in 3D digital space in real time, and oftentimes because of that, there's gotta be all sorts of visual oopsies as a result. You know, like characters clipping into walls, all the classic glitches, you know. 3D animation, on the other hand, is rendered in advance, usually with the goal to get the shot as perfect and complete as possible for the final picture. There's no randomness through interactivity to worry about, so usually animators have the opportunity to just get things as perfect as they can given time and budget constraints. Obviously, this is oversimplifying things a bit, but it is genuinely a major difference between the mediums. It's interactivity and the need to run in real time, and as a result, DLSS 5 already works running in real time up to 4K resolution. If it can be good enough in real time, imagine just how far they could push it when there's all the time for it to wait around and render perfectly, or be manually tweaked and re-prompted. While sure, the technology is being trialed in games now, it's not the dead end. Because of the interactivity element, games generally look less put together and clean compared to cinematic animation. As a result, there's way more room for error. And that makes it the perfect proving ground for this technology. You know, get things right here of all things, then bring it to animation and live action CGI too. And then you're golden. Because let's face it, companies want to create the best looking and performing movies for the cheapest cost possible. And if they see AI lighting and texture upscaling or regeneration as a way to do that, I'm not really sure it's impossible to stop them. But something is absolutely lost in the process. DLSS 5 is designed for realism, but it's not an artist. It has no sense of style. Just billions of data points, all used to approximate what looks real. See, for example, how much this changes the facial structure of a character here, changing out her rather grounded facial features already for what, heavy makeup? There's a whole thing we can also say about actually what the data points are for where they're getting this imagery. Why does every woman under this filter look overly beautified and also kind of has a porn star face? The answer's probably not gonna surprise you. I'd argue it goes beyond trading out stylization for uncanny realism and onto just butchering the entire idea design language of the character itself. While the original looks like a tired woman who has been through some things, because she kinda has, the DLSS 5 one looks like she's been looks maxing, or worse. It's not a stretch to say that there's a very clear reason for the backlash here, and there has been backlash, thankfully. I'd for sure call it a slop filter, as has a lot of the internet. Also, side note, gotta love the fact that Microsoft actively hates being given the term micro slop, so that just means we need to use it more. It very clearly makes a point and actually hurts their feelings. Hey there! Thank you for making it to the halfway mark of this video. Come subscribe if you haven't already for more AI animation news. It's a little pessimistic today, but sometimes we talk the positives, like when Sora died. Huzzah! So thank you for joining along if you're interested in more. But now let's get back to the second half of DLSS 5. Really does roll off the tongue, doesn't it? Anyway, back on topic. It's kind of interesting, actually, because AI face filters for photos have been around for a long time now. Before even this big AI boom, people were using filters to generate themselves as anime characters or just, dog ears, that old Snapchat thing. The tongue. But the use of this technology is just different. This is the same technology being thrust into our media, whether we like it or not. Even though the answer is pretty clear there. It fundamentally affects the way that we engage with our own content on a visual level by reframing it with an AI coat of paint. And unfortunately, despite the backlash, and here's kind of the kicker, it's already being embraced by companies in the gaming industry. Todd Howard, studio head and executive producer at Bethesda Games, said that with DLSS 5, the artistic style and detail shine through without being held back by the traditional limits of real-time rendering, and that Bethesda was excited to work with this new technology and look to bring DLSS 5 to Starfield and future Bethesda titles. Apparently to him, it just works. Though, to be fair, of all people you would expect to immediately run to the slop side of gaming advancements, it would be Todd Howard. Unfortunately, this is kind of his MO. But then even beyond that, you've got people like Charlie Guillemot, co-CEO of Vantage Studios, who worked on Assassin's Creed Shadows, who said that the way it renders lighting, materials, and characters changes what we can promise to players. It's letting us build the kind of worlds we've always wanted to. It's a lot of promising claims being made about what looks to me like an ugly filter. But many big players in the gaming world seem extremely drawn to this technology and incorporating it. And my worry is that it is likely to be the case with film as well. Not with DLSS 5, as is for games, of course. The mediums are different on a technical level. But if this can be done in games now, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before this technology can be applied in animation as well. DLSS 6. The big hurdle of using technology in games is the need to apply it in real time. And that barrier has already been crossed in 4K no less. In animation, that barrier is completely removed. Frames are pre-rendered and again, no need to worry about player input. Which means that if it looks bad in games now, there's a chance it might be worse in animation. Because if what we're seeing here is the most basic version of implementation that must be done in real time, just imagine what might happen given more computing power and no time restriction. At the very least, there's time for a lot more to be done than just textures and lighting, and that scares me. The rapid increase of AI technology may allow for the total generative adjustment and optimization of scenes, going far beyond just an ugly filter. The only thing that might be holding us off is the fact that animation is oftentimes supposed to be stylized and not just photorealistic. So maybe it's not quite right for characters in animation, and if we're lucky, the technology might be a bad enough match currently for anything not photorealistic to stave off its implementation for years. But even still, when it hits, AI post-processing is still going to change the look of everything. Cheap AI filtering that's pretty stable on assets that can shorten the amount of time taken in the lighting and texturing phase of animation will almost certainly be enticing to companies like Disney, who have shown time and time again their commitment to investing in the use of AI in their products even despite the backlash. Although on that front at least, maybe not so hard. In the middle of producing this video, Sora died, and I've probably made a video on it, and so Disney's back down. Josh D'Amaro seems pretty anti-AI, it certainly focuses on humans, but that doesn't mean another company won't just take the opportunity. That said, maybe this technology might not come into big budget movies quite yet. Maybe it's not good enough to compete with the best of the best lighting designers and texture artists in the world. But if it turns out to be a solid, cheap alternative to these artists, this AI post-processing technology could still make its way into lower budget animation. And as for films striving for photorealism, especially live action movies with heavy CGI, I expect this stuff will be all over the place, unfortunate as that may be. A great example of this would likely be the live-action Disney remakes. If you think they couldn't get any sloppier than the Moana remake, think again. Maybe it's the last bastion of a human-made slop we'll ever see. Just throw an AI slop filter over all of this CGI. To be honest, it looks like that's already what they've done to Tamatoa. At the end of the day, I of course prefer human artists to have the final say over the final look of their movie. And while I think that this technology is not there yet, and the backlash is probably only going to get heavier, I am unfortunately not in charge of the major animation studios, and I think in some way, at some point, eventually, it'll be applied. And worst case scenario, we don't even notice. But I can promise you, you won't be seeing me chucking an AI slop filter over my own face. Thankfully, YouTube's already considering doing that on their YouTube Shorts platform. What a world we live in. For now, though, I'd best finally end it off there. My name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. Do tell us your thoughts on all things DLSS 5. I realize it's been a bit of time since this was announced. I was slow to make this video, and then Sora died and delayed us a week. But specifically in the spin of bringing it to animation, I think there's an interesting discussion there. Because all AI advancements can be applied to the film. Arguably, it's the easiest target. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and more, but otherwise, I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio!